What are the 3 things that will revolutionize the education system? If you're like me, you look back at your education and you're like, so many things were done wrong. And I was just reading an article that said US student loan debt has now reached $1.2 trillion. That's just in the United States. And people always talking about the global trade deficit and all that. That's at like 800 million US. This is $1.2 trillion that people owe for all these loans. Some to private loans, some to government loans. By the way, I'm here in San Diego, enjoying, you can see the ocean out there a little bit. And I was just reading some articles. I was like, I gotta talk about this, because I can think of 3 things off the top of my head that had they happened to you and I when we were growing up, would have set our life on a completely different trajectory. Been so much easier to be successful financially and all that. So let me give you the 3. Number 1, there should be a refund policy for universities. Joseph Stiglitz won a Nobel Prize as an economist, and he wrote a book, and he basically says he thinks that the current US educational system, the higher university system, qualifies as a scam because you can't get your money back. You know, Walmart, they pioneered easy refunds. You don't even need a receipt. And people thought when they first started doing that, people were like, no, that's crazy. Everybody's going to want their money back. But people are more fair than you think. So if universities were offering refunds to people who felt like, hey, I spent 4 years of my life and possibly $40,000 or more on my education, and I can't even get a job. And in fact, I have no practical skill. Now, some people would say, what about liberal arts education and so on? Look, that's great to get a liberal arts education, but you know a better way to get a liberal arts education? Know how to create an income for yourself and then travel the world. I mean, this is not the 1700s. So much of our education system is still tied to literally centuries old methodologies. Now you want to learn about ancient Egyptian history? Go to Egypt. Now, in order for that to be practical for millions of people, people have to have jobs, because you can't travel if you don't have any money. So this refund policy would force universities to focus down on, at the end of 4 years and 40 grand spent, people feel like, yes, I'm now going to get a return on my money. And they could have a refund policy with some fine print that says, you know, if you're able to get a job in the field that you majored in, then you can't qualify for the refund. That would eliminate people who try to cheat the system. But for people who go and they go to school and then they come out and they can't get a job and they're part of $1.2 trillion, that's $1,200 billion in debt. This is a major problem. Heads roll over $100 billion. We're talking now 10 times that, 12 times that. Number 2 thing that the education system, that would revolutionize the education system, would be if you would teach social and emotional IQ type lessons in elementary, junior, high school. Public speaking, sales, conflict, how to deal with those things. How to read people so that you could find business partners, who to marry, who to date. There's so much progress has been done in psychological profiling that could be taught. I wish I had learned that. I would have been interested in that stuff. In fact, students are more interested in learning cutting edge things than they are just in learning, you know, geography and social studies. Best way to learn geography? Travel the world. You want Americans to know the difference between Sweden and Switzerland? Have them not be in $1.2 trillion in debt so they have extra income to travel the world. That is what will change the world. So I am such a big believer that the problems are fixable. I have hope, and I think that you already see these things. You know, one of my businesses, one of my companies is an online education private company. It's not an accredited college. It's taking what accredited colleges haven't been able to do and offering those to people. So I've got a lot of experience in seeing how well this can work, and you got to teach other stuff. You can't just teach geometry, isosceles triangles. You can't just teach rote memory history, like, you know, Civil War starts this year, ends this year. You can't just do that. You can't just make people memorize what the capital of each state is. If you need to know the capital of Montana and you don't know it, it's not life-threatening. It's not career-ending. You can Google it. But if you don't have a practical skill, how to start a business, or if you're an employee, how to rise up in that business, if you don't have tangible skills in a career, you're not gonna make any money. And one of my family members went to school, spent like 50, 60 grand in debt, 4 years for a Spanish degree. And I said, why don't you just go live in Spain? You can actually get paid to learn Spanish, and you'll learn better Spanish. You'll learn it faster. You'll learn it and it'll be more fun. So if if the modern education system had an emphasis on practical skills all the way through, in addition to some abstract stuff, you're going to need some math, you're going to need a little bit of geometry and all that. Some of it's okay, but it's too much. So whenever I talk to this about people, everybody, 100% of adults go, man, I wish I came out of school with great social skills, public speaking skills, persuasion skills, sales skills, reading people skills. Which brings me to my third point. The third thing that would revolutionize the education system is if there was personalities, a series of personality tests, because different tests aren't 100% accurate and they test for different things. These tests would go, a battery of tests that students got from age 6 years old to 18 in the junior high and high school and elementary system. So you're talking, you got 12 years to administer these tests. You don't have to do them all in one day. Then you would take the results and adjust accordingly what you teach the kids and how. Two things, what you teach them and how. Some people from personality tests, like in the Hexaco test, which is the most scientific cutting edge test developed in 2000, it's a variation of the Big Five test, it's widely respected. There's correlations. People low in conscientiousness, high in conscientiousness, low in agreeableness, high in extroversion versus introversion, they do better and they're attracted to different fields. Social facilitation skills, practical manual labor skills, accounting, management of people, all that should be based on personalities. Going back to the refund system, the second you made universities have refunds, mark my words, they would start doing a battery of personality tests because they don't want to give money back, right? And so they would say, hey, Bob, you were wanting to get an Egyptian, medieval history major. Why don't you do that as a minor and I'll teach you something else, like why don't you learn how to open a restaurant or learn how to do sales or something. I mean, look, let's be practical about life. You're going to have to know some down-to-earth skills to make it. Everybody does. They should be teaching real estate, investing. All these things should be taught. These are the kind of things that you're going to need from the day you graduate high school until the day you die. And because these three things have not been implemented, you see massive problems in the world, whether it be economic growth issues, whether you see recession, even wars and crime at the root of this, the issues around the world in inner cities, all this stuff that you see in the news now. You know what fixes this? People who have a livable income don't commit much crime. Occasionally they do, and there's some white collar crime, but trust me, the majority of crime is desperate people. And sometimes you can't blame them. If you're hungry and you got to feed your family, and you have no options because the education system doesn't give you any options, people resort to all kinds of things that affect all of us, whether you're rich or poor. So this is a plan that will help the poor, middle class, the rich. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't differentiate by gender or sexuality or anything. This is the cutting edge way that education should be taught. And going back to the personality test, not only would you find out what people have natural affinities for using personality tests, but in addition, you would teach them differently. Not everybody learns the same way. It's a fact. Some people are audio learners, some are visual, some are kinesthetic. Peter Drucker talks about this in his book, Managing Oneself. You have to know how you learn. But if the education system is always sit at a desk, listen to a lecture, have a book, it's already failed the majority of people because the majority of people do not learn that way. And so by doing personality tests, you could separate out how people learn. And this wasn't possible 100 years ago. Because you might be listening and go, Ty, that's not practical. Oh, it's practical now. We have computers. We could put man on the moon. We have GPSs. We have this iPhone here. Where is my iPhone? Scratch that. I don't know where my iPhone is. Oh, here it is. This phone right here is more powerful than a rocket ship was in the 1960s. You telling me with all the technology we can't use computers, we can't use iPads, we can't use tablets, we can't use live streaming to bring customized education? This is completely false and giving up too easy. And what happens is the education system has inertia, and it's just doing business with minor changes. There's been some improvement in the education system naturally as we progressed, but it's not enough. It hasn't kept up with the pace of advancement in the world in other fields. Think how much better medicine is. Medicine is indistinguishable between what would happen to you in the 1800s. In the 1800s, had you been injured, you might have had leeches put on you. You would have had doctors who didn't wash their hands. They didn't understand germ theory. I mean, it was prehistoric. Now, if you get a cut and you go into the hospital, we understand. It's completely different. Now, we take that to the education system. If you go back to a classroom in the 1800s versus today, they almost indistinguishable. You got students sitting there listening to a teacher for not just 1, 2, 3 years, but decade or more. You got to keep up. You got to keep up. So, I thought I'll record that. Sounds like there's a crazy fire going on back here. If you go to tylopez.com, I've got some of the practical courses that I teach on starting businesses and all that stuff. And like I said, I practice what I preach. They involve personality tests, they involve practical skills, and they involve full refunds. And so, I don't want to be a hypocrite. And I think the future will be private education. I think that university is going to be too slow, and more people are going to go online to learn. And you already see that. The online education system grew from $50 billion in 2014 to double that, about 100 to 110 billion in 1 year. So good news, people catching the trend. So check out tylopez.com, look at some of the courses I have, or look at there's other providers of online education. What you didn't learn in school, you can come back and learn now. So you don't have to give up hope. Hope's there, opportunities are there. So leave a comment below. I read an article that said the 3 biggest regrets people have is who they marry, occupation they select, and the education they had. All 3 of those could be changed and improved by these 3 little points that I talked about. So leave a comment below. What's your opinion? Does the school system need to be improved on? Do you think it's fine? And if you think it should be changed, give me some specific things. I'd love to hear and learn from you as to what you think will make education better. Write down this success rule. Trust me. If you want to be badass, here you go. Number 1, surround yourself only with badasses. Or number 2, people who are on their way to becoming badasses. They're not yet, but you see the twinkle in their eye. They see the potential. But remember, these 2 only work if you follow the 3rd one. Be a badass yourself, because you can't be judging people if you're not a badass already or on your way to becoming a badass. Now, this is a tough rule because to implement it sometimes feels a little bit harsh. You got to start. And people do it wrong. Some people do it wrong. So they look around them. And this is primarily for friends and family. Okay? It also applies to co-workers and things like that, business partners, acquaintances. But where you go wrong with this is you instantly find some people that have been close to you, old friends, family members, and you cut them out completely. You don't have to do that. Remember what the rule says is spend time. So time is incremental, meaning you can just reduce the time that you spend with people that aren't badasses. But you got to do this. Now, I gave you those 3 principles. You could put them in reverse order. Number 3, which is be a badass yourself. You'll have no credibility calling people out if you aren't badass. And you want to judge yourself even more critically than other people, more harshly, because Rush will come off like a hypocrite. What's going on here? Got lots of people. What are you guys working on? Get some work done. Lots of fun stuff.
Are you gonna go meet
Oh,
Dan
hey.
outside?
Look at those glasses. Do you like those glasses?
Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever I follow this rule well, life starts to be amazing. Whenever I start to compromise and let quality decrease, it comes back to bite me in the butt. So what I try to do mentally is rank where I am 1 to 10, and then let's say I'm at 7 or something like that. Focus on myself first, bump it up, then I start evaluating people around me. Now I have a lot of employees, so I do it with employees. And I say, you know, work for me, you're either a badass already, or I could see it potential in your eye, or else I'm gonna waste my time trying to work on you, you know, improve your business skills. You gotta do the same thing. Family's the hardest, but oftentimes the most necessary. Remember, you probably have a big family, so you can pick or choose and spend more time around the people who pass this 1, 2, 3 test, and less time. Doesn't mean you have to cut everybody out completely. You don't have to excommunicate them. I lived with the Amish for 2.5 years. They have something called excommunication. You don't always have to do that, but you do need to say the quality of my life is determined by the quality of my surroundings. So, gonna get my haircut here. Here, can I do that last? Who do you look like? Who does everybody say you look like for all the YouTubers? Jenna Marbles is here to cut my hair. Not really, it's not Jenna, but it looks kind of like it. I'll be back. I'll be back in a few. I got lots going on at the house, Knowledge Society headquarters. Try to keep it active. People say, Ty, what the hell do you do? So much is going on. I'm like, yep, I don't like to be bored or boring. We got a live call. If you're not coming on the daily live calls, you're missing out. I had a dude selling $2.7 million worth of shirts. I had the biggest guy, one of the biggest app guys who built an app. I got chair massage going here. Adrian, you got a tough life, man. Tough life to work for me, huh?
This knot is ridiculous.
What would Arnold Schwarzenegger say?
Get this knot out to me now.
See what else is going on. See what Anton's doing. Anton, what's today's live call about?
Reaching success. Are you kidding me?
Reaching success. We got all the cameras going, streaming to 72 countries. Yeah, you can check that out on Ty. I won't. Hello, everybody. What's up? Somebody said, how much is Ty paying you? Nosy. We got Nosy McNoster over here. All right. Going up. My cousin came in town. She's a pro soccer player. Where's Christina? Hey, Christina. Come up here. Hey, Nathan. Nathan. Jeff. Bring me my portable charger. This is about to die while I'm recording. Christina. Tell her to come down. Sorry. I'm gonna start vlogging more. I got my garden going. Oh shit. We got the garden going. What's up?
Hi.
Are you playing soccer or doing yoga?
Both.
You got them soccer skills? Got the garden going. I tilled up over here. They were helping me till up over here. Get this bad boy rock and rolling. Hey, Christina. Come show us some. Let Christina dribble for a second. Christina, my cousin, just got drafted by the Orlando Pride. So, let's see. What's up? Can you show us? Show a little. One take. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Peanut butter jelly time. Oh! One take, baby. Anyway, if you ain't following my Snapchat, Ty Lopez 1, and hers is what? Seaberg's 4. I gotta go do some yoga. Think big. My mind's still running through all the conversations I had with Arnold Schwarzenegger last night in his kitchen. Talked to him for about an hour.
Hasta la vista, baby.
You know what people always love? Get to the chopper. What do you think is the most popular one? Get to the chopper or hasta la
Get to the chopper!
One of the greatest conversations I've ever had, and that's one of the takeaways. Think big. You know, he told me, he said he always thought big. He said, don't worry about failure so much, Ty. how far can you really fall? We're all only a few feet from the ground. And I was thinking, mentors, you know, he told me about his mentor, Reg Park, his first mentor. And I thought, that's what's wrong in the world. That's why it's so easy to feel lost. Who do we have guiding our way? You know, you got to go out and you have to find people. You have to find people who have done it before, who can shorten the path, who can keep you from failure. He told me, he said, don't fail too much. One of the reasons he doesn't procrastinate and can think big, he said, is because he at 20 years old won Mr. Olympia. So he said he got used to success and he tasted success. And so, you know, make sure you find some little wins in life. Don't always lose. It's a myth that you only want to learn from mistakes. Well, you learn from mistakes. They don't have to be yours, though. And you can also learn from wins. You know, Arnold learned from his wins. There's my dad. I told him, I said, my dad was a pro bodybuilder. My dad would love that I'm in here talking with you, Arnold. There's Arnold. 7-time Mr. Olympia, multimillionaire before he was 30 in real estate, 2-time California governor, not a man without flaws. We all have flaws. I always think of that saying, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. But what he's achieved is something you and I can learn from, you know, and so much of life becomes nitpicking and you bring up people's names and people go, oh, he's not perfect there, he's not perfect there. I'm like, yeah, but have some respect. Have some respect for somebody who did stuff. And, you know, I saw he's a philanthropist, you know, and he genuinely cares. Took the time out to talk to me. Didn't have to talk to me. I wasn't paying him to talk, you know. He told me, he said, Ty, he likes to work out on an empty stomach. I said, why? He said, because he always figured he had a little bit too much fat. So I'm in here in the gym, gonna follow his level. He said he didn't procrastinate. He learned from his father the value of not just being lazy, always having something to do. He says he likes to wake up, he likes to read a lot, gets up, he gets active, always doing something, you know. Keep yourself, I wouldn't say entertained. It's important to sit back and think. And he told me he likes to do that early in the morning. But people in the modern world, with all this convenience we have, the next thing you know, all you're doing is just sitting around not accomplishing anything. You know, go out, conquer the world, conquer your fears, think big. That's all I could think. You know, he's a big dude, strong, but his life was big. Made some mistakes, made a lot of great attempts and successes. Yeah. I'm going to post the full talk we did here soon, but just thought I would post that while I was walking in here and get a little weights going. Whenever I learn something from a mentor, I try to immediately put it in practice. Even if I won't do it exactly like, you know, perfectly. Obviously, people are different, but try to become an action taker. You hear something, you read a book, do it. Try it. Arnold Schwarzenegger tells me he likes to work out before he eats breakfast. Hey, can't get a better piece of advice from a you know, man who achieved, like I said, 7-time Mr. Olympia. So, who's your mentor? How big you thinking? How much do you fear falling? Watch from my video. I'm gonna post the full talk, most of it. Some of it's private, but post a good bit of it. All right. Oh, by the way, leave me a comment. Comment on something you've been putting off that you know you should do. Some area you're not thinking big that you know you can think big in now. All right, you want to know how to network with powerful people, millionaires, billionaires, you know, celebrities, whoever it might be. I thought I'd record a little video. That's one of the most common questions I get. So I just set up here in my backyard. Very sunny day, so hopefully if you see me sweating, hopefully I won't sweat too much. But, you know, I call it creating your inner circle. Everybody needs an inner circle that's trying to do something big in life. And one time, I recorded a video, I don't know if you've seen it. It's this long list of the inner circle that people created. Like Steve Jobs had one, Bill Gates had one, Mahatma Gandhi had one, Martin Luther King Jr. had one. Basically, if you look at the very few people who changed the world. I was reading Peter Diamandis' book today for the book of the day. It's called Bold. And he says, you know, only 99 99.99999% of the world is working on something that's not, a game changer. So if you want to be different and be a game changer in terms of making a hell of a lot more money, some of you are starting a charity, being artists, starting a new entrepreneurial venture, you must know how to create this inner circle. You have to know how to network with powerful people. And it's something, I've tried everything, I've experimented, and some of you have seen the good results of some of the experimentations I've done. If you follow me on Instagram recently, you've seen me with Arnold Schwarzenegger, me with Elon Musk, me with the other day I was hanging out with Dwight Schrute, Rainn Wilson, Dwight Schrute, that's his character he plays in The Office. All these people, and I don't like to name drop, that's not the point of what I'm saying. The point is these people, if you do it right, can become part of your inner circle. Now, what's the difference between mentors and inner circle? Mentors like one person. If you put a whole bunch of mentors together, if you put a whole bunch of people who are your allies, your board of advisors, that's what I call the inner circle. And it's simple. I'm going to give you the simple formula, but it's simply elegant what you have to do. So I'll give you a few tips. I'm actually going to do a longer talk. I'm trying to keep these videos and talks around 18 minutes because you've maybe seen my TEDx talk. TEDx says, the ideal attention span for a human is 18 minutes. By the way, that's one of the tips to networking. Sometimes if you want to network with millionaires, billionaires, and powerful people, you can't be too long-winded. You can be long-winded at certain times, but at the initial stage, you have to pique interest very fast. So I'm going to write a few things here. And by the way, that was kind of one of them. So, all right, so the first thing here that I would say you have to have, there's a lot of different names for them. People call them elevators, pitches. People you hear in Silicon Valley, it's a pitch deck and a one-line. I've called them different things. One-line, a destiny hook. A one-line explanation. What I tend to call it now is an interruption hook. So sorry, here my handwriting's not good. So an interruption hook. So if you want to network with powerful people, remember this. Like, I'll give you an example from recently. I was with Arnold Schwarzenegger, got to hang out with him. You got to use an interruption hook on him. Why? Because everybody wants Arnold Schwarzenegger's attention. When I was with Elon Musk, same thing. Those people are hard to talk to. Elon Musk has $13 billion. He's not going to talk to anybody that he doesn't have to. In fact, this is my house in Beverly Hills. If you notice how all these houses are built in Beverly Hills, okay, walls all the way around them. This is 1 acre in Beverly Hills. It's a big house. The people who built this house before I, got it, they wanted separation creation. That's what these walls are. There's 56 doors in this house. There's gates. That's all separating themselves because most people, okay, if you don't use an interruption hook on them, they know everybody wants something from them. Celebrities, everybody wants something from them. So this wall gets created, and when I was sleeping on a couch and I had no money, I had 47 bucks in my bank account, didn't have a car, college degree, all that stuff, I was over here. And I wanted to get access. Everybody wants people to invest in them, people to give them advice, people to make connections and go, oh, meet my lawyer friend. Oh, meet the guy who invested in me. That's the kind of access that you and I want when we're over here. And so this wall, though, this interruption, you can also think of it, a good visual. It's like a piece of dynamite, like a stick of dynamite. So you add a stick of dynamite here, you light it, and boom, you punch a hole through the barrier. And what people don't realize is, and what most people do, is they just bang their head against the wall. And eventually, you bang your head against the wall long enough, you're going to be brain dead. So, for example, people go, Ty, I'm going to this networking event. Well, networking events sometimes are good, sometimes are horrible. A lot of times, networking events you go to are just everybody who's at the same level all networking with each other, which there is a certain value to that.
But you still haven't broken through the wall to the people who really have the access that you need if you want to do something, big in life. So interruption hooks. It's a whole conversation. I'm going to give one here in a couple days. I'm going to do a talk. I'm going to put a link down here if you want to see a full talk on this. I'm 5 or 6 minutes in, so I got 3 things I want to give you now. If you want to hear all of them, click the link. It's free. You can listen in on my full talk. But just to give you some concrete examples of interruption hooks that are duds. They don't work. You light the dynamite and no hole is created to get past this wall of separation. For example, you say to somebody, you go, hey, I want to tell you my business idea. Oh, holy shit. Let me tell you what that does, because I get that a lot. I get that hundreds of times a day. It makes me want to retreat further back. You go to, let's say you're an actor, an actress, or a writer. You go, ooh, I want you to read my script. Holy shit, these people are the people that you need to read your script. First of all, the louder you say that, the faster they run. So what you have to do is you have to, and this is number 2, okay, that I'm going to get to today. You have to, and this is a little more advanced, okay? So I'll give you if you're an academic and you like intellectual stuff, I'll give you a little more intellectual, I call this ontological, sorry. All right, so ontology, you may have studied this, okay? Ontology, there we go. Okay, so the ontological story in people's head. So philosophers would use this word if you want to, I remember it in just simple terms, story in the head. So all humans, every one of them are continually running a movie theater projection in their memories, in their consciousness, okay? So for example, that's why, for example, 2 people can be born in the ghetto and one person rises out of it and their identical twin doesn't. Why? Because one person played a story out in their head, for example, that they're stuck forever, and the other person plays a story out that, no, I'm going to take this bad hand that I was dealt and I'm going to use it as fuel and motivation, and they become the next Oprah Winfrey or whatever, right? So in the same way, whoever you're trying to reach, millionaires, billionaires, celebrities, powerful people, they have a story in their head. And if you try to push your story on their story, they retreat behind the wall. So going back to this dynamite, this exploding, this interruption hook, it has to align with the story already in their head. I'll give you an example, like real simple one. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, what's a story, if you want to hang out with Arnold Schwarzenegger, talk to him, what's a story already in his head? Well, you do a little research, he loves cigars, okay? So you connect with them, instead of going, hey Arnold, will you blankety blank, will you help me do this, that, and other, help me be a movie star like you were, that he's gonna retreat from that. You pop right in to the story that's in their head. You pop in right here, and then you participate in a story they were already playing. And what happens is, this is very subtle. And Voltaire, the famous French philosopher, he said, it's not enough to conquer, sometimes you have to seduce. So this is a seduction state that you're now operating in. Because the definition of seduction in this case is they were already gonna do it, or they think they were already gonna do it of their own volition, of their own choice. So if Arnold Schwarzenegger, you start talking about cigars, he probably was already thinking about cigars. So you will 10x the odds. Now, nothing always works, but if you understand ontology and the story inside people's head, this requires research. And I can tell you time after time. The other day, I was, a week or 2 ago, I was at a dinner with the CEO of Bugatti, and was also the CEO of Ferrari. And so that brings me to the third thing. How did I connect with a person like that? Well, the third thing is that I call this, I developed this back a long time ago when I had no money and I was trying to make some money. And I call it the phone speaker mute. Okay, so what you do, okay, you may have heard of this in other terms. Sometimes people call this is a shit pen. Why do we have this pen? Some people call this, there we go. Some people call this active listening, but I feel like that's such a cliche word, I won't remember it. I always try to reframe phrases. So active listening, forget that. What I would do, so one of my first businesses was in financial planning, okay? Investing, insurance, helping people plan. I worked for GE Capital, GE Financials, biggest company in the world back then. And what I did was I had a website. I gave people cool, it was like 12 secrets. And I had these cool little tips for people. And then people would fill out a form and ask me to call them. It was a lead generation business. So these people would call me, and instead of me cold calling people, now they were requesting me to call them. So what I would do is get on the phone with them, and this is exact line. If you want to know a line that works like magic, assuming they ask to be called first, okay? So what you do is you get on the phone, you go, hey, it's Ty. I got a little request that you wanted to talk to me. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you're trying to do, and I'll see if I can help. Now I'm going to dissect that little phrase because it's more powerful than it seems. And then I would take the phone, put it on speaker, and press simultaneously the mute button. And see, that forced me then to go into the next stage, stage 3, where I just listened, because to get into the ontological story that exists in people's heads, you can't get into their head. It's not like you can get a little micro, submarine and float through their brain. What was that movie like that? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or something? Yeah, exactly. That's not reality. So the simplest way is I would just mute the phone. Then no matter, even if I caught myself trying to talk, it was already muted. So it was forced silence. So make it so that doesn't go off so I see that. All right, the timer. So the saying that I gave, and maybe I'll break that down. Let me see, how much time do I have left? Let me see. Oh, shit. My timer iPad overheated recording this. It's a hot day. You just look at the time on your phone. So, by the way, the reason I'm putting a timer is I'm trying to discipline myself to be able to pick the time, the strategy, how long I want my videos to be, and hit it. It's a skill to be able to hit. It's a lot harder to give. 7 minutes left? Okay. All right, so that little phrase that I gave, I'll break that down and then explain this. So the phrase was, first of all, I didn't sound like I was desperate. So I said to them, hey, I just got a request, you wanted to talk to me. Okay, so that's number 1. Never be desperate. I've talked about that in another video on how to win friends and influence people. Okay? The second thing in that sentence is I say, why don't you tell me how I can help you? Now, if you understand the 25 cognitive biases, I'm saying, let me help you. And everybody likes to be helped. Very few people don't like to be helped in one way or another. So instead of me saying, I want you to be my customer. I want you to buy from me. I want you to help me. I want you to invest in me, because I told you, those are the phrases that makes people run for the hills, or in this case, run behind the walls. Okay, so I flipped it. And then lastly, I made it like not formal. And so maybe I'll give you guys a bonus one here. And of course, I muted the phone. The fourth thing, you have to allow personality to flow. So what happens is, people think they get intimidated. They'll say you're sitting in front of an investor or something, or a potential mentor, or they're a billionaire or a millionaire. You all of a sudden, you start altering your normal behavior. And so the reason when I was back then years ago, when I was getting on the phone with people and earning money the hard way, cold calling, or in this case, warm calling, I just said stuff like, hey, I use hey. That's not that formal, because that's how I actually talk. If you start getting on the phone and go, hello, this is Ty Lopez. I received an inquiry from you, and I would be interested in seeing if I can solve your current problems. would you mind giving me a moment of your time? Like, that, you got to kill that. And I'm overdoing it a little bit, but almost always when people come to me, I see an altering in their personality, and it makes me uncomfortable. So people can tell when you're not being yourself. Now, you can take this a little bit too far and be too informal and be like ridiculous, you know. Don't be insanely ridiculous. We're gonna grab a camera and walk through. Can we walk? So I'll take you guys at the end on a little house tour. People are always asking me to do that. So let's talk and walk a little bit. So if the lighting gets a little bad. So when you allow your natural personality to come out, okay? This, by the way, this is the pool. Got some cabanas here. I'm reupholstering some of them. This, by the way, back here, this is the guest house. So I got a gym and stuff. Gym, jiu-jitsu upstairs, guest house. There's a 16-person movie theater. That's pretty cool. There's a pool table. I'll do another full tour. We've got back here a garden and a full court basketball and tennis, which is pretty sweet. I love basketball. But anyway, so you're penetrating through the barrier, getting into the real story. How? By being informal, by using this dynamite approach. I got a little power squat rack that we're setting up. And maybe we'll go into the house. So then I'm not altering my personality too much, okay? Now, I might alter my personality a bit. Like, if you meet somebody, you need to have a level of respect, okay? That's important. Got a cactus garden here. And also, by the way, a little side note, you'll see some people working over there. I've got an office about a few miles from here. I try to keep everything within 2 miles. So I got 50, 60 people working over there, but every day I have some of them come work at my house so I can work closer with them. So today we've got some guys from the traffic and marketing team here. Wave your hand. We've got over here is the outside bar, and we're getting ready to do a shoot. Is he on the call? Oh, by the way, let me not forget. So if you want to see the full deal, I'm going to give a full talk on how to network with powerful people. There should be a link right below here or above. Click it. It's completely free, and these things are filling up. I've been doing these free talks. You click the button, it'll tell you the exact time. We'll translate it into your time zone. So I got people in 40 countries. All you got to do, have your phone or be at your computer, but if you're traveling, you can do it on your phone and just listen in. Make sure you have watched this whole video. Of course, if you're hearing this, you have. And then just show up. They're anywhere from it depends. It's live, so you can ask me questions, and I'm gonna get deep. There's a lot more here. Trust me, it's an art and a science, and some people are good at it, and it's huge in their life, and some people suck, and they're always held back by not being able to connect with people. So click the link here and grab your spot. They've literally been filling up, so it's important. I'll walk in the house. I won't go through. This is a 18 bathroom, 17 bedroom house, so I'm not gonna walk through everywhere. But I'll show you the downstairs here. I got a fish pond in the living room, which is pretty cool. I'll be there in 1 minute. Ignore the boxes. So over here we got the living room, the foyer. We got the fish pond. It automatically feeds them at night. And then got an art collection. Then you got the Scarface. Come film this way. This is the door. So it's kind of cool if you've ever seen Scarface. Good old. I got to see Al Pacino the other day. He was so. And you got the say hello to my little friend room. So. Anyway, I'll show you guys more later. There's an elevator in the house, maid's quarters, all that good stuff. But remember, even though people see me like this, man, I've been down in the dirt. I've been broke. I've been more than broke. I lived 5 years with an outhouse on a farm, no electricity. I was sleeping I live in a mobile home for years. So, I haven't lost touch with reality. That's why I do these videos. It's not to show off, but it's a good reminder that, you know, I was born in Long Beach, man. I was born in the ghetto, if you've seen Straight Outta Compton. And you can rise up out of stuff. Not everybody needs to have this stuff. And, you know, maybe I won't have this stuff for the rest of my life. What I care about is momentum and doing big things, change the world. So click the link above and below, and I'll see you on the live talk, all right? Talk to you soon. Never be self-entitled. It's the quickest way to kill your chances of doing something big. Remember what the billionaire Charlie Munger says. To get what you want, you have to deserve what you want. The world's not yet a crazy enough place to reward a whole bunch of undeserving people. And in my experience, this is a plague. Everywhere you turn, you're gonna find people that think the world owes them something. I'll tell you, if you can get rid of this mentality, it's the quickest way you can accelerate your success, growth as an entrepreneur, a person, whatever you're trying to do. Because what happens is, they've actually done some interesting research on this. By the way, I'm flying home. I've been gone for a month. I've been in the UK, Norway, and now I'm in London. I'm in New York City at JFK Airport here in Queens. My flight was a little bit late there, so taking this moment.
Yo, dude, love your videos.
What's up, man?
See ya.
That looks like I set it up. He said, love your videos, Ty. But what I was gonna say, the reason and what scientists have found, they've done studies on people who were very smart as a young child. There's a famous psychologist tracked people for 30 years. I forget, he had a name for, they called them the termites. They were like super genius kids. And what they found is they actually underperformed expectations. There was only one, or I don't know if you know, maybe one Nobel Prize winner. Damn. What's up, man? Oh, hey! How you doing? Here, let me pause this for a second. That was a old friend. I made a friend on jury duty about 3 years ago, Michael, and he's in the fashion business, owns some factories, so he saw me here. But back to what we were talking about. So they tracked this group, they called them the termites, that was their code name, and it was all these childhood geniuses, and 30 years or 20 years, they tracked their success, whether it be they would actually turn out, all this intelligence would turn out to be translated into tangible success, like whatever, doctors or millionaires or Nobel Prize winners. And the interesting thing they found is they underperformed the kids who were smart but not super smart in their age group and in their cohort, they call it. And people try to make sense of that, like, why would these talented kids not turn out to be as successful as it seems their IQ would show, would predict for them? And what they think, nobody knows the exact answer, but one of them is, and I strongly believe this, is that when you're told you're a genius from a little kid, you start to believe your own medicine. And when you start to believe your own medicine, you stop putting in the effort to grow your talent. And that's a version of being self-entitled. So my prediction why the termites are like this is very simple. You tell somebody too long that they're gonna be successful, they'll believe their own press. And that's that old cliche. Never read your own press, because then you stop practicing. And that's one form of self-entitlement. I don't even think that's the most dangerous. The most dangerous self-entitlement is what you see right now in the world, where people are like, I wrote, people are violently, and not physically violent, but emotionally violent over saying, I deserve something. I get people every day. I've given away like 6 free Camaros this year to people. Sometimes people will write me and say, give me a car. Well, I don't owe anybody a car. I never won a car in a Snapchat giveveryway. But I think it's a sign of the times. This is an Instagram that I posted. It said, in the 1300s, people would complain, I'm dying from the Black Plague. In the 1800s, they'd say, I'm 9 and I work in a factory. In the 1900s, people said, I'm off to fight in a war. In the 2000s, people just go, I'm offended. What are you really offended about? Has the world become so weak-willed that if anything goes wrong, we go, wait a sec, I'm entitled to a world where everything goes right? That reality doesn't exist. I hope things go well for you, but to expect a life with no friction, to expect that you're entitled to that, is to go against every law of biology, every law of competition, every law of economics, and every law of common sense. So I think all of us have to root deep in our psyche and pull out some self-entitlement. There's an interesting test you can take called Hexaco, and it measures your honesty humility factor, which is closely tied in a way to self-entitlement. Like some of the questions are things like, am I a special person or something? Well, everybody's special in their own way, but if everybody in the world's special, then that means you're not special, because everybody's special. 7 billion people are all special. And I know what people are trying to say, you're special in your own way, you're unique, whatever, that's great. But in terms of being entitled to something, everybody's entitled to success, right? But shouldn't you give it to the people who put in the work? Or are we saying everybody should be respected for their hard work on the athletics field, soccer, football, basketball, baseball, just because they show up? What about Kobe Bryant, who put in the hours of work and the decades of work? Shouldn't he get a little more credit than somebody who sits on a couch and eats Doritos all day? Like, I hope the world won't get that weak. And so, you know, look in your own life. I gotta look in my own, self-examine. You can get rid of self-entitlement really quickly. So leave a comment where you have been a victim of somebody else being self-entitled, or maybe you've been self-entitled. What's a scenario in which you felt it? Because it's nasty when it happens to you. So be sure not to do it to other people. All right, we're just here at Book Soup. Just bought How to Win Friends and Influence People. Looks good, right, Ollie?
Yeah, it looks great.
And she got a not a Studio 54 book. She likes to party.
Yeah, I like to party.
I get asked a lot, you know, what's the secret if you're completely broke, if you're trying to do big things? Without a doubt, your ability to have powerful social skills, whether it's networking, whether it's finding mentors, finding investors, it all comes down to a few principles. Always use, by the way, $100 bookmarks. Why? It's not to show off, it's to remind you that if you read this book, there's a lot of value in it, not just financially, but in all ways in life. So we're gonna head back to the office here. Let me see if I can get you in. Brought the Ferrari out. So watch the edge here, don't scrape. So the most powerful things that I've learned when it comes to social skills, you all right? You in there? Oh, I'm gonna try to sneak in here without getting hit. Woo, Sunset Boulevard's a bitch. The number one, hold on guys. There we go, sneak in. All right, so when you're first starting out, it's very easy to get intimidated, right? Why? Well, you'll assume that just because you've never done anything or you're just starting out, that everybody you meet knows that. People don't always know that, so you gotta stay cool under pressure. I don't know what happened to my hair. The top down on this thing. Spiders are awesome, but don't go too fast. Anyway, so the first thing is don't get intimidated. You gotta stay cool. Every human is on the same path. No matter how powerful they are today, in 100 years they'll be dead. Keep that in mind. No matter how beautiful somebody is, they won't be beautiful in 100 years. All of us are on the same path, and since we're all on the same, and I actually read an interesting book. I think it's by Mladenow, the guy, the physicist from Caltech, and he said all humans are descended from 70 women. Genetically, humans are very close to each other, so don't get intimidated, because being intimidated and showing a lot of weakness to people will inevitably turn them off. No one wants to be around somebody who's desperate. So number two is don't be cocky. So sometimes people are either too shy and intimidated, or their flip side. You can't post up. One time I made a mistake. I had a billionaire guy, and it's the first Ferrari I ever had, not this one, another one. And I showed up at the airport and I was trying to act all cool, like I was, you know, can you press the start button? And by the way, I shouldn't talk too much. Probably nobody wants to hear from me. Ollie's a little bit shy, but you moved here from Kentucky.
I did.
You were Miss Kentucky.
I was Miss Kentucky 2013.
So she knows Donald Trump, if you're looking at the political race. But you didn't know anybody here, and you had to network. And
yeah, I came here all on my own, drove here, you know, across the country, and you just figure it out. You meet people, you network, and
you're not, she doesn't really get into, you don't get intimidated. You're pretty cool under pressure.
Yeah.
She don't even need this book. She don't even need those $100 bills. She's a Capricorn though. Capricorns always appreciate $100 bills, bookmarks. Anyway, so the number 2 thing, you know, when I rolled up on this guy in Ferrari at the airport, he was a billionaire. It didn't impress him. He was like, dude, he told me, he goes, I have a fleet of Ferraris. He's like, what'll impress me about you is you just showing me what you know, which leads to number 3. You gotta know stuff. And a lot of people say, Ty, how can I, you know, be persuasive? How can I network? If you don't know shit, people are gonna figure it out. So the beauty is, no matter where you are in the world, you could be broke, like I was, broke, sleeping on a couch, 47 bucks in my bank account. You could be in the same situation, dead. Whatever it is, you could still know a lot of stuff, because you can pick up a book, you can go on YouTube now, you can start to become knowledgeable, and you don't have to be knowledgeable about everything. Warren Buffett, the billionaire investor, says just have a circle of competence, just keep your knowledge in a tight circle and you'll impress people. So there's a lot more things. Check out the book. You've never read it before, right?
I haven't.
So
I'm gonna read it.
She's gonna read it. And along with that, that's a badass coffee table book. If you never heard the story, I used to own a lot of nightclubs, so this is like the original nightclub, Studio 54. By the way, check out this shirt somebody made for me. The Good Life, health, wealth, love, and happiness. And it's got my website. Somebody mailed this. So whoever mailed this to me, thank you for the present. And you want to hold the camera while I drive for a second? Can't go too fast. There's a lot of people on Sunset. All right, that's how fast you could go. People always are like, dude, why don't you go fast in these videos? I'm like, it's Hollywood, guys. You see, Phil, turn the camera around. That's about how fast you can go. So, anyway, here, you can hold it again. So here's a question for you. Oh, by the way, I'm doing this big contest. I'm gonna give away a car this year, okay, to the winner. It's not gonna be a Ferrari 458 Spider, but I'm gonna give away a car, and I'm giving stuff away every Friday. I have this little thing called Invest in Others. I believe people helped me when I was starting out. They didn't always help me with contests or money, but they gave some time. My mentors taught me what they knew, and so I believe in investing back in other people. So I'm doing this thing. So subscribe here, wherever you're watching this. Make sure you subscribe, because I'm just gonna pick randomly from the subscribers every Friday, and I'm doing some flash contest stuffs too. And at the end of the year, I'm gonna pick somebody, so give them a car. Okay, so anyway, subscribe. By the way, what's the number 1 thing you ever learned about people, dealing with people?
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Old school, golden rule. Can't beat that. All right, guys, peace out.